Before I start, this isn't a show and tell. I'm not asking for your opinions. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one and they all fucking stink. Nor am I here to give best advice. I don't think I'm qualified to give best advice. I've just lived with them for a long time and I can only talk about my personal experiences with them. Piercings. It's a subject I've kept off my channel for quite some time now and have mentioned them before, but my reason for not talking about them a lot is that I don't like to be defined by them at all. It's obviously the elephant in the room whenever you look at me and whenever people talk to me. It's what you see first. There's a lot of them, I understand that. However, I like to come across as a person. I don't just want to be defined by the dude with piercings, so I do my best to avoid the subject. Truth be told, they're not a massive interest of mine anyway. I'm not a massive fan of the things. But here we are. So here I am today to talk about cheek piercings specifically and what it's like to live with them. The cheek piercings are the piercings that seem to draw the attention of most people. They ignore the rest, they look at the cheeks and instantly start wincing. I see it even when they don't mention it. So if you're thinking about getting your cheeks done, this is definitely a video to watch. I've had them 11, 12 years. I had them done when I was 16, I'm 27, 28 this year. So I've lived with them for quite some time and they are nothing but a colossal pain in the fucking arse. First question most people want to know about the cheek piercings is, do they hurt? It's a question you get asked about any fucking piercing, and if you use your common sense, yes, it fucking hurts. Anytime you're going to get a needle jammed through any part of your body, it's going to fucking hurt. Anybody who says otherwise is either talking out of their arse or they had such a massive adrenaline rush at the time that they genuinely couldn't feel anything. I think that's quite doubtful though. So yes, they fucking hurt. And the healing time on them is a pain in the arse as well. It's 2 weeks, just like most facial piercings, so it's very similar to getting your lip pierced. If you're going for your cheek piercings, chances are it's not your first one. If you had your lip done before, it's very similar to that, except that your lip is a good inch worth of flesh there, meaning you swell up quite heavily, and the bars that you have to wear in them are really quite long. Which brings me on to the first negative point of having cheek piercings, and that's getting the right size jewellery. I'm in an unfortunate situation. There are others who have a better situation than me and they've managed to get perfect fitting bars, but for me, I've only got a bar that fits perfectly on one side of my cheek. So if I push that out, there's just a tiny amount of bar showing. I do have a ball end on the inside as well. With cheek piercings, you want to avoid having a flat end, as they do tend to embed quite easily. It's your cheek muscles, there's a shit ton of movement going on at all times. When you smile, when you talk, when you laugh, when you cry, it's a very active area, so I stick to having a ball end just to avoid having that inside growth. Now on this side, I'm actually still using PTFE bars with a ball on each side, just because I haven't been able to get a bar the correct length to fit, so I've cut the PTFE down to size. Now PTFE is actually a good choice for the cheek piercings. It might not be the cleanliest choice. I'm not the most educated person when it comes to that, so go elsewhere if that's the advice you're looking for, but PTFE is a good option because the bar is flexible. When you move, when you talk, the bar will move with your skin. A solid steel bar is always static, and every time I talk, every time I move, if I think about it, I've lived them for a long time now, but if I think about it, I can feel a little tug with every single movement. The absolute biggest problem with the cheek piercings, again, I've had these for 11, 12 years now, is that they never truly heal. And I've heard this from a lot of people, and most people don't stick with them for like a quarter of the time that I have. They tend to stay with them a year, 2 years, 2.5 years tops, and they never truly heal. They're incredibly prone to keloid scarring. Now, a keloid is basically a scar that never settles. It's always red in appearance. They do settle down from time to time, but they're red, they get swollen, they burst, they bleed. It's nasty stuff. If you don't know much about keloid scarring, look it up. Imagine having it on your face, because you're quite likely to get it if you do get your cheeks pierced. I'm unfortunate and I have it on both cheeks. They flare up from time to time, and it's actually the sole reason that I no longer shave. You may notice that I'm incapable of growing a proper beard, but the action of shaving was causing the keloid to flare up all the time. My face was continually bleeding. I continually had really sore, pussy lumps on the sides of my cheek piercings. It just wasn't worth it anymore. You may be thinking, if the cheek piercings are that much of a pain, why do you stick with them? I did stick with them for no other reason than I'm a stubborn bastard and I don't like change. I went through the pain, I went through the effort of getting the cheek piercings done. The way I look at it now is if I take them out, and again this is all my personal opinion, it's my life, I'll do what the fuck I like. If I take them out now, the piercings have won. So I'm almost in a war with the piercings, and I will win, and I will stick with them as long as I physically can. So even though I've stopped shaving, I still get keloid come up, not half as much as they used to. When I was shaving, I was getting the keloid flare up at least once a month, but since I've stopped that, I tend to get it every 4 months or so, which is a drastic improvement. And the reason I'm doing this video is for the sole purpose of, this is one of the rare occasions where both sides have flared up and they're bleeding constantly now. Hopefully we can get some close-ups of what they look like. So providing I manage to get some decent close-ups there, hopefully you can see that they're both currently bleeding, extreme redness around them. There is red patches above each cheek piercing, and that is the actual scarring, and that is the keloid that flares up. I don't have any pictures to hand to add to this video, but that whole red area basically comes up in a massive bubble. And when I say bubble, the bubble ends up being around about the same size as the bar. Anybody that knows me in life will have seen it a million times, but most people are too polite to mention anything because it is unsightly, it's hideous. When they bleed, yes, it fucking hurts. It's like the things have never healed, and I've put up with this for 11 to 12 years now. A lot of people want to get their cheek pierced because they're convinced that they're going to have it pierced for a while and then get it removed, and it's going to leave them with lovely cutesy dimples in their face. No, what it's going to leave you with is horrible fucking scars in your face. They're going to be unsightly no matter what. There are the lucky few. There really are a lucky few where they've done that and they've been successful and they've got the desired look. Honestly, it's really not worth it. They are a pain in the fucking arse piercing. The last note I want to mention about cheek piercings is employability. Now, getting employed with any sort of piercing, well, when you have piercings, it makes it slightly harder to get employed. Cheek piercings, as I said at the beginning of the video, really draw the eye and they can make your face look quite aggressive. It's something to really consider before you go into the cheek piercing, which is something I consider to be quite a heavy piercing. You might drop lucky and get into one of the alternative stores where piercings are acceptable. I don't know, like in England, like CEX, it would be fine, or Blockbuster, HMV, places like that, maybe some clothes shops. I guess it's a lot easier nowadays than it was when I originally got them done 10 years ago. But being in any sort of job where you're going to be facing the public eye, it makes it incredibly difficult to get a job. Now that's actually the fault of the employer. As I've personally found, whenever I've been in a job where I'm public facing, it's actually worked in my favour. Say you work in a shop, people will come up to you and they will talk to you about the piercings, which gives you an open window ready to make a sale. It can be a benefit, but it's really down to your employer to actually give you this chance and employ you to begin with. I'm quite lucky. I work as a computer engineer or configuration engineer. I'm locked away in a configuration centre all day, but it's a good career to be in, and at no point of my piercings held me back in that career choice. Like, definitely be aware, if you decide to go for these, it will make getting a job all the more difficult, even more so than a septum, lip, eyebrow, whatever the fuck you want. Now, if you have long hair like me, which many of you will, as it tends to be more of a feminine thing to get cheek piercings, be aware that your hair will get tangled around them all the time, and once your hair gets tangled around them, you're gonna pull it, it's gonna hurt, it's potentially gonna cause a keloid flare. It's not happy, it's not peaches and rainbows. Also be aware that as soon as you get your cheeks done, they hit your teeth all the time. You lay down on your pillow, I can even feel it on my teeth just doing that. It's going to do your teeth no good. They always say that about any piercing that's embedded in your face, but cheeks particularly, be aware if you get a knock to the side of the face, it's going to do some damage to a tooth. Since having my cheeks done, my other half hasn't been able to touch or feel my face properly in over 10 years. We've been together 11 and a half years now, and that's like part of the sacrifice of having them done. So this was just a very unscheduled, unscripted, unplanned video about cheek piercings, just because mine happened to be bleeding now. But if you're considering getting them done, just have a hard, long think and think twice. Think about me. Think about how I'm suffering with them. It's all self-inflicted. Again, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you don't like them, go elsewhere. I don't need to hear your views. I get it enough on the street. I'm not inviting it. If you do decide to get them, well, I wish you the best of luck. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. If you want to hear more about any of my other piercings, I've got more than you can just see in my face. I've got my PA done, I've got nipples done, tongue done as well. I'll happily speak about them, but for now I'm just going to try and leave it about my cheek piercings. Again, I don't want to be defined by my piercings. I have a lot of other aspects to my personality. These are the last things I really like to talk about. But if you feel like I could be informative for you and you enjoyed this video, drop me a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, cheers guys, enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, all that bollocks. Anyway, cheers.
Winner!